What's going on, everybody? Zachariah, Can Enable. So my intentions were never to do a Resident Evil Village outright review. So instead I wanted to do something different today. I did my playthroughs, I did my walkthrough for people who wanted the casual trophy lists. Go check those out on the channel. Today I want to kind of do some thought-provoking. There was one line in the game that stuck with me.
Been a while since we fought together, Captain. When was it last? The desert?
One line, and I came up with a theory. This is one of two different theories I have. If I can expound enough on the second theory, I'll have a video similar to this. But this one it goes in depth enough to warrant thought. It's about Chris Redfield of the BSAA and the Hound Wolf Squad. Before that gets into it though, we need to know about the Hound Wolf Squad. So we're going to dive into the Hound Wolf Squad for 2 or 3 seconds, give you a quick rundown, and then we're going to get into my theory, speculations, and just thought-provoking, like I said. So, hope you enjoy. The Hound Wolf Squad, or HWS, is a paramilitary group consisting of 6 members: Rolando Elba, codenamed Umber Eyes; Dion Wilson, codenamed K9; Charlie Graham, codenamed Night Howl; John Perlman, codenamed Lobo; Emily Burkhoff, codenamed Tundra; and finally, founder and team leader, Captain Chris Redfield, codenamed Alpha. The unit is made up of highly trained veteran BSAA operatives. However, the unit itself does not directly answer to the BSAA. Instead, shortly after the creation of the unit, Redfield elected to bypass HQ authorization, effectively turning rogue in the process. Following the 2017-2018 events in Dovey, Louisiana, Chris led the team on a 3-year-long reconnaissance mission with the ultimate goal of terminating a woman named Miranda, who was believed to have a mold-like biostructure similar to the bioweapon Evelyn, or the E001 model, the culprit of the Baker House incident in Dovey. Prior to the events in Europe in 2021, little to no information is known about these elite members of this unit, with the obvious exception being Chris Redfield. It stated several times in passing dialogue that the unit had been on the trail of Miranda since 2018. However, there was one throwaway line said to Chris by a team member that caught my ear instantly.
Been a while since we fought together, Captain. When was it last? The desert?
Following only the video games, this line will hold no significance to most players. However, those who follow the Resident Evil canon in its entirety may have the same level of interest I had in the comment itself. In saying that, let's take a little trip. Following his involvement with the events in 2013 in Lanxiang, China, which are covered in Resident Evil 6, Chris continued working with the BSAA, carrying out several missions never touched on in subsequent stories prior to his next major mission in 2014 in New York City, covered in the CGI movie Resident Evil Vendetta, all with the exception of one off appearance. In the 2015 manga Biohazard Heavenly Island, we see a story revolving around Claire Redfield responding to an apparent outbreak on the set of a reality TV show being filmed on an island in the southern hemisphere. In dire straits, Claire reaches out to Chris for assistance with the mission. However, due to prior obligations, Chris cannot help, instead sending veteran BSAA SOA Parker Luciani to the island to help assist Claire. And this is where my brain began to tick when I heard that line in Village. At the time of the conversation, Chris and at least one other BSAA member are en route to a mission where he tells Claire he was selected specifically to deal with an extremely powerful force. The location of this threat was the Mojave Desert. Nothing else was ever said about what he was doing in the desert or if the threat was ever eliminated, so I decided to start looking at lore of both Village and its predecessor Biohazard through files and notes in the game, much of which yielded no helpful results, with the exception of one. In Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, we come across a file titled R&D Report 1 of 2 that goes in depth with research notes on the development of a newly crafted E-type mutation. The file, along with subsequent information, indicates that the initial E-type model was successfully developed by a group known as the Connection in or around the early part of 2014. Then, shortly thereafter, in October of 2014, the BSAA sent a unit to the location of the experiments, which were located in Munich in a research facility. However, the team was unsuccessful upon the arrival to the facility, allowing the members of the Connection to escape with their newest E-type creation they named Evelyn, moving the E001 model and its caretaker Mia Winters onto a large ship named the Annabelle and sending it across the seas to America. This would put the ship en route to the Gulf of Mexico right about the same time Chris was carrying out his mission in the Mojave in 2014. The most intriguing part of this entire sequence is factoring in the countless times Chris himself used his Action 10 rank in the BSAA to bypass any clearance needed to join any ongoing mission within any of the 8 BSAA regions. Why would Chris, one of the highest ranking BSAA operatives, be sent to the Mojave Desert while a potential global threat was on a ship which course would take it within the North American branch's jurisdiction? With the recent implication of the BSAA's potential involvement in covering up the Baker House incident, along with the storied history of corruption within the organization itself, that poses one of two possible choices. A. Chris, along with several other BSAA operatives, were briefed on the failed mission in Munich leading to the escape of the E001 model and were sent to the Mojave to comb over the western edge of the United States in search of the Annabelle or Evelyn. Or B. The BSAA intentionally sent Chris and his unit away from the course of the ship, which would have had to have passed across the Atlantic into the Gulf of Mexico and not the Pacific, which is where Redfield and company would have been headed, whether as part of the mission involving Evelyn or on a completely different diversion to simply keep Chris away. The latter seemed logical for two reasons in particular. As stated before, Chris had a history of inserting himself into overseas BSAA operations that he felt were considered high-risk threats. So if he'd had any intel on the situation prior to the attempted mission in Munich, surely Chris would have volunteered to head up the operation himself, much like he had done in Australia, Europe, and Africa in missions prior. And the second reason, after further digging, reports showed that at the time of the BSAA's prep to move in on the Munich facility and take down the connection, there was also an unidentified rival bioweapons producer looking to do the same thing. This would help back up the claims from the only surviving member of the Baker family, Zoe Baker, that the BSAA had covered up most of the incident in Dulvey within the Baker estate to prevent the leak of their true involvement in the entire incident. This in particular could also be the catalyst that caused the distrust towards the BSAA Chris now seems to have, also making sense of why he would bypass authorization in the creation of the rogue Hound Wolf Squad, taking matters into his own hands, leading them into the involvement in the village. Of course, this is all theory and would be mainly contingent on when Chris found out about the BSAA's involvement in 2014. Considering after this incident, he'd worked with the BSAA solely for at least one more mission in the containment of the A virus outbreak in New York City, it's not unreasonable to believe that Chris's loyalty to a disloyal organization was already in the process of fading. This would again also make more sense of why in the rescue of Ethan and Mia Winters, Chris identified himself as not a member of the BSAA but instead a member of Blue Umbrella, who had recently emerged from the ashes of the evil Umbrella Pharmaceuticals company in attempts to turn a new leaf and help fight bioterrorism, making an alliance with the BSAA assisting with the A virus outbreak in 2014, as well as the Baker incident, which understandably would have made Chris distrust the BSAA that much more. So what was the reason Chris and his team found themselves in the Mojave Desert in 2014, at the same time Evelyn had escaped the BSAA containment and made its way across the ocean? Was it all a red herring by the BSAA to keep Chris away from the bioweapon? Is this the mission in the desert mentioned by the teammate in the village? And what's Blue Umbrella's involvement? We know they worked with the BSAA since 2014, so surely they knew about the E-type mutations as well. And the biggest question, why did the BSAA deploy apparent bioweapons into the village during the Hound Wolf Squad's mission to destroy Miranda and the Megamycete? All answers I hope to get soon, but until then I guess all we can really do is theorize and speculate. One thing's for sure, knowing how vengeful Chris Redfield is known to be, he certainly won't stop until accountability's been taken for this and the BSAA answers for its involvements in this massive 7-year-long incident.
Pick up the rest of the squad. Plot a course for BSAA Europe HQ. Someone's gotta pay.
Alright, so that's it. That's my first theory video, speculation video, thought-provoking video. Like I said, I'm new to these kind of videos, but it was just something I genuinely wanted to touch on. It made my mind start working as soon as I heard that line. I thought of Mojave and why Chris would have actually been there. At the same time, to find out that Evelyn was developed and shipped off to Central America in 2014 at the exact same time Chris would have been over there. It's just crazy. It's real deep. It could just be, unfleshed out, coincidences, but I don't think that's right. With him being BSAA having knowledge of what was going on, knowing what's going on in that research facility in Munich with the connections, Blue Umbrella and the rival company that's still unidentified, could be Blue Umbrella. They could still have evil ways and evil intentions. I know with the UN did not allow the Blue Umbrella to have their own tactical forces, and that's the reason they joined forces with the BSAA, at least on a poster front version of it. That's the reason that they're given the world. It's because they weren't allowed a physical military force. So they had to team with BSAA, somebody who has an active military force that is known to handle bioweapons. And that Blue Umbrella was essentially just going to be the research side and give them the notes on that end. Super fleshed out. I intended this just to be like a 2-paragraph thing, and it ended up being like this full page of just theory and just speculation because my brain just continued to work, and it still is. It's still working. I'm gonna end this video and there's gonna be more in there, but I'd love to see what you guys think about it. If anybody made the same connections I did, or if I missed something. If the desert that the guy and the crew was talking about was nothing to do with Mojave, could be, could not be. You know what I mean? I like making connections. I like making it make sense. And Resident Evil's really known for doing that sometimes. So that's what I got for this one, guys. Like, subscribe, comment, share, feedback, whatever, or don't. Thank you guys so much for watching. Zachariah Kane enabled. Take care.